Dr. Devon Bannister, the chairwoman of this proceeding. Thank you so much. This innovative meeting is a great one that will help the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals via digitization and technology to become realized. I am a global ambassador for Christ. I'm a pastor of a church here in New York City, and I have traveled to many countries. I have seen the ravages of carbon emissions and what it has done to our beautiful earth. I'm closely connected to the mandate of the United Nations in that I have an academic qualification from Columbia University in sustainability management. I'm also, as you heard, the chief operating officer of one of the largest commercial insurance companies here in New York that insures Uber and Lyft. In my most recent travel as a pastor and as a speaker globally, I was privileged to be the main speaker at an economic development conference in Uganda, where several leaders met to discuss how we could propel that great East African country of Uganda. Little did I know that after my speech, the CEO of the largest private network of school systems in Uganda would come up to me and advise me that what I said regarding the importance of technology and the importance of digitization to the African future was something that he wanted to hear for his 9 million students that he controls. And at that dinner, we talked about the solution to the modernization of Uganda. Very next day, I was privileged to fly to Rwanda and speak to several others regarding the same thing. I did not know that a few weeks later I would be here at United Nations speaking about the same thing. And as we say in the theological world, God has a way of creating a providential pathway to make all things come together. And one of the things that's facing the world today, obviously, as we talk about the education of the next generation. And I think about it, I was in Nigeria a couple months ago, and I found that 70% of Nigerians are under the age of 30. 75% of Ugandans are under the age of 35. We're living in a very young world, and we need to use our bully pulpits, folks like myself as pastors, people like yourself as educators, to make sure that we could communicate the importance not only of how God could move in people's lives, but the importance of how the present technological advances of the world can help bring structural and constructive and sustainable changes to the world. In my alma mater, Columbia University Sustainable Development, in a paper recently, it said that the digital revolution has become overwhelmingly clear that this will become the core to the sustainability of development around the globe. We are hearing about AI. We're hearing about GPT. These technologies have to be more effectively communicated to the next generation. Things like blockchain, smart contracts, NFTs. And of course, as a pastor, you don't expect me to say that, but I also have a cap regarding these technologies that we are sustainably developing. The OECD Communication Network reported that barely 25% of people have ever heard about the goals of digitization and sustainability. So I am going to close because we have said a lot, but I believe that we have bully pulpits. I was privileged not only to speak to a bunch of CEOs and pastors and bishops in Uganda, but I was privileged to speak to at a very large church of 5,000 where it was live throughout the entire country. And I spoke as a pastor. Now, as I'm connecting to the whole concept of this education for our future generation, I believe that I have a responsibility, even in my sermons that we have globally around the world, to speak more effectively, more distinctly regarding the future of our children, digitization and education. I close with Nelson Mandela, who said, Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And so today, as I close, the Bible says, how can they hear without a preacher? And so I place my hat in the ring. I'm willing to start letting the world know that this is a very important aspect of the future development of this world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reverend. You spoke as your title. Well done. Yes, we are running short of time, so we are going to go to the next section of this event, which is the panel section. And I would want the panels to be considerate because the ambassador has to leave. And so we need to be considerate, and I hand it over to Her Excellency Ambassador Dr. Monica Sanchez, who is the CEO of Historical International Foundation and global coordinator for the Global Power of Clean Power Initiative. You have your, and under her team, you have Patricia McDonald, who is consultant media and arts communication. We have Anita Colley, principal PS25 School, Tron Song, Mobile Pocket Communication Corp, Ray Rashid, director of the Historical Foundation International, and Minister Olalike Awume, CEO Knights and Loves. Please allow the floor. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I'd like to acknowledge the mission of Karate and my wonderful, wonderful ambassador here. Thank you so much. This is an excellent program. I also like to acknowledge Ambassador Antonio and all dignitaries here. I won't take up much time in trying to explain because I want to give my panelists a chance. I have a great panel here, and I want to give them a chance to really express themselves on this topic. Our first speaker is Ms. Patricia.
Yes.
Patricia,
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, members of the diplomatic corps, government officials. Good afternoon, members of the diplomatic corps, government officials, ambassadors, and fellows. It is a pleasure to be a part of Transforming Educators as Agent of Change for SDGs and digital aid held here at United Nations headquarters in New York. I too am a native New Yorker by way of Belize, Central America, and I too reside in the Washington, D.C. area. I work at Howard University full-time for almost 20 years, and I have a passion for education. I believe that children are our future, and I too am a peace ambassador. And so I just want to say, the Decade of Action of Sustainable Development Goals, as we know as the SDG 4 for quality education within our global village, must be identified, developed, and embraced with a comprehensive context. The urgent call for reimagining, reevaluating, and redefining technology and platforms for learning and education must be answered in real time. And practical, in real time with reliable and practical measures. To transform educators into agents of change in the digital age requires addressing